What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, and I'm back at y'all with another one. I told you this was coming. I told you guys this was coming down the pipeline. Boxing is the most corrupt, cutthroat, backstabbing sport, disloyal sport in all of sports. It's the Wild Wild West is an understatement. Boxing will destroy itself before it allows itself to prosper. What I mean by that is the people involved in boxing will rather destroy the sport than to uplift the sport if it doesn't benefit them. Here you have an Olympic gold medalist, a 6th division world champion, a Hall of Fame iconic superstar boxer, turned promoter, Oscar the Golden Boy Dela Hoya, who is now, he promoted a specific fighter who's another future Hall of Famer, 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, Saul Canelo Alvarez. And they had a falling out. And when they had a falling out, Oscar De La Hoya has not stopped going at Canelo Alvarez nonstop. And now he's discrediting Canelo Alvarez's big fight coming up in September against another first ballot Hall of Famer, another pound-for-pound fighter, 4-division world champion, 2-division undisputed champion, going for undisputed in the 3rd separate weight class, in Terence Bud Crawford. And Oscar De La Hoya is now making claims and telling the world, this is not the biggest fight in boxing. That's subject to opinion. Okay? Because if this ain't the biggest fight in boxing, then I have to ask Oscar De La Hoya, what is the biggest fight in boxing then? Who can you match up to be the biggest fight in boxing then? If this is not the biggest fight in boxing, what matchup makes for the biggest fight in boxing? Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson? Can't be. Because y'all tell the world that Shakur Stevenson is boring and not a draw. Right? He's not exciting. Okay. Was it going to be Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia rematch? It can't be, because y'all said that Devin Haney is boring and Ryan Garcia, well, he just lost again. He tested positive for banned substance and he wasn't very active in his fight with Rolly Romero. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez? It can't be, because Oscar De La Hoya just discredited Canelo Alvarez by saying Canelo Alvarez has been exposed 10 times over and Canelo Alvarez is 35 years old and an old man. So if he's 35 years old, he's been exposed, and he's not the same guy he once was, then how can Canelo versus David Benavidez be the biggest fight in boxing? That makes no sense, right? He says that Terence Crawford got exposed by Israel Madrimov, and Terence Crawford going to be 38 years old. He got exposed by Israel Madrimov? I thought he clearly won against Israel Madrimov. Israel Madrimov was his first fight at 154, and Israel Madrimov was very herky-jerky and brought a very different style to the ring. So what makes for the biggest fight in boxing, according to Oscar De La Hoya? Who would fit the bill? Can't be Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. That was a big fight, but Artur Beterbiev was 40 years old, right? And age is a factor, according to Oscar De La Hoya. Right? Oscar De La Hoya fought Floyd Mayweather. Oscar De La Hoya was about 36 years old. Floyd Mayweather is about 31, 32 years old. Right? And that proved to be the biggest fight in boxing history at that time. So now 35-year-old Canelo and 38-year-old Terence Crawford can't qualify as the biggest fight in boxing when you have two first ballot Hall of Famers like himself and Floyd Mayweather? Bernard Hopkins had mega fights over the age of 40. And how old was Bernard Hopkins when he beat Oscar De La Hoya? So what qualifies as the biggest fight in boxing? And why would a guy who is a promoter, who is a fighter, and who's supposed to be working with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh stab him in the back? Because Turki Al-Sheikh is the one saying the biggest fight in boxing. And now Oscar De La Hoya is disputing it and saying that this ain't the biggest fight in boxing. He's disputing it. And he's discrediting Terence Crawford to do so. Now, we know he's salty with Canelo Alvarez and the way things ended with him and Canelo Alvarez, so that's not shocking. But I didn't know he had an issue with Terence Crawford. And I didn't know Terence Crawford got exposed by Israel Majamov. Then he says Terence Crawford for the year. He ain't fighting a year. Yeah, he's inactive. But he put on. Terence Crawford has knocked out and stopped 11 or 12 of his last 13, 14 opponents or something of that magnitude. So he's boring? I told you guys you're going to start to hear a lot of discrediting and misinformation and deflections once they realize that Terence Crawford has a huge opportunity to beat Canelo Alvarez. They realize that styles make fights and that Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez. And now people are going to discredit Canelo and they're going to discredit Terence Crawford. He got exposed by Israel Majamov? Do Oscar not remember the fights he had in his prime that he struggled with and arguably got exposed and got gift decisions like the Pernell Whitaker fight? So what is he talking about? He got exposed. Until David Benavidez went on the tear he's on, he got dropped by a jab by Ronald Graville. Bernard Hopkins got beat early in his career, first fight of his career. Manny Pacquiao knocked out twice early in his career before you even knew who he was. Before he became an 8-division legend. So what is he talking about? Everybody has tough fights. Didn't they say Floyd Mayweather got exposed by Jose Luis Castillo and Marcos Maidana? But then dominated Canelo and Manny Pacquiao? We got to start making this make sense, man. So what's the biggest fight in boxing then? I want to ask the people. I want to do a poll. What is the biggest fight in boxing if it's not Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez? Because it can't be Shakur and Tank. Because y'all say Shakur don't sell. He's not a draw. He's not exciting. It can't be David Benavidez versus Canelo because Canelo is no longer the same guy. He got exposed and he's old, right? So how could Canelo versus Crawford be a bad fight, but Canelo versus a bigger, younger, stronger guy be the biggest fight in boxing? Isn't that a mismatch? We got to start making this make sense. So what exactly qualifies as the biggest fight in boxing? Because then he threw in weight. He said Terence Crawford is too small, moving up too many weight classes. So it can't be Monster Inoue versus Tank Davis because Inoue fights at 122 pounds and Tank fights at 135 pounds. And the last time I checked, well, that's about 16 pounds. $15 to 16 pounds, isn't it? So what qualifies as the biggest fight in boxing? We already saw Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. Heavyweight division, we already saw the best there. So what qualifies the biggest fight in boxing? Jaron Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz? I'm asking for a friend. Drop a comment in the comment section, man. Let me know what y'all think. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word, man. I want to know from y'all, what's the biggest fight in boxing if it ain't Canelo and Terence Crawford? I'm gone. Peace.